Hello, my name is Julie, and I'm 42 years old. I've been reflecting on a particularly difficult time in my life that began when I decided to end my marriage to Thomas. It became increasingly clear that we simply weren't meant for each other. His childish and immature behavior constantly frayed my nerves, and the thought of being tied to him for life felt less like a partnership and more like a sentence. However, the strain in our marriage wasn't entirely due to Thomas. His mother, Martha, played a significant role in my distress from the very beginning. She made it clear that I would never meet her high expectations for her son. Her relentless criticism and subtle undermining eroded my confidence, making me feel like an outsider in my own home. I recall countless evenings returning home from work, yearning for peace, only to find Thomas absorbed in his video games, completely disregarding me and our shared responsibilities. Any attempt I made to voice my frustrations was met with indifference. "Thomas, I've had a tough day. Could you help out with some chores?" His typical response was dismissive. "Later, I'm in the middle of this game." This disregard extended beyond our daily lives. He even forgot our anniversary, brushing it off when confronted with a casual, "It's just a date. We can celebrate some other time." Another time, he invited his overbearing mother over without informing me, turning what I had hoped would be a peaceful weekend into an unwelcome family gathering. "She's my mom, Julie. She can come whenever she wants." "Don't be uptight," he said. Discussing financial planning was another sore spot. Talking about budgeting or savings with Thomas felt like conversing with a child. "You worry too much. Let's just enjoy our money. We'll figure it out later," he would argue. These examples only scratched the surface of the deep-rooted issues in our marriage, where my concerns were routinely dismissed and my feelings invalidated. At family gatherings, Martha took pleasure in belittling me, never missing an opportunity to criticize my appearance, career, or even my cooking. I remember one evening, after spending hours preparing a meal, I hoped for a little appreciation. "Martha, I spent hours on this dinner. I hope you enjoy it." Her response was sharp and cutting. "Well, let's see if it's even edible. I can't trust your cooking." Another instance involved a new dress I was excited about. "Martha, I found this beautiful dress that I think would look great on me." Her reply was equally dismissive. "Oh, sweetie, that dress is far too revealing for someone your age. You don't want to embarrass yourself, do you?" And when I tried to assert my parenting style, she was just as dismissive. "Martha, I would appreciate it if you didn't criticize my parenting decisions." "I know what's best for my children," she retorted. "Clearly, you don't, or you wouldn't be making such foolish choices. Honestly, what is wrong with you?" When I shared my efforts to adopt a healthier lifestyle, hoping for support, she belittled me. "Oh, please, you're wasting your time with all that exercise and dieting. You'll never look as good as me." Her justification was blunt. Whenever I asked her to stop making snide remarks about me to others, she responded with, "I'm just telling the truth, dear. People should know what they're dealing with when it comes to you." Martha's constant belittlement and disparaging comments became a relentless source of stress, undermining any positive aspects of my relationship with Thomas. The breaking point came when I realized I deserved more than this toxic dynamic. It was a difficult decision, but I filed for divorce, seeking liberation from the emotional turmoil that had consumed me. In court, I laid bare the irreconcilable differences and the detrimental impact of our marriage on my well-being. As the proceedings concluded, I began to feel the weight lifting. Martha, my ex-mother-in-law, could hardly conceal her pleasure. She leaped up, a twisted smile of victory spreading across her face, reveling in the dissolution of our marriage. Her delight in my supposed defeat was as blatant as it was unsettling. Finally free from the shackles of a troubled marriage, I stood in the courtroom as Martha proclaimed triumphantly that she had won her son back. "I've won! I finally won!" Her declaration, soaked in delight, hung heavily in the air, igniting a surge of anger and indignation within me. How could she take pleasure in my pain, celebrating the end of my marriage as if it were her victory? I couldn't hold back my fury. With contempt lacing my voice, I confronted her, exposing the miserable and pathetic person she truly was. Instead of faltering, Martha only laughed, a cold, mocking sound that echoed through the courtroom. It was a cruel soundtrack to the closing of a chapter that had brought me nothing but distress. It served as a stark reminder that some people revel in the downfall of others, their joy twisted by bitterness. But her laughter only fueled my resolve to move beyond the toxicity that had walked out of that courtroom. I left behind the ruins of a failed marriage and a toxic relationship, determined to reclaim my life. I vowed to reclaim my life and pursue the happiness that had long eluded me. Martha's mocking joy highlighted the struggles I had endured and the inner strength I had discovered. No longer would I allow the judgments of others or the cruelty of those intent on belittling me to define my worth. I was determined to rise above the bitterness and embrace the freedom that lay ahead. With each step I took, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery and healing, committed to building a life that reflected my true value. The road ahead was uncertain, but I faced it with unwavering resolve. The path to happiness might not be straightforward, yet the struggles and hardships I have faced have forged resilience within me. It was time to leave behind the drama, toxicity, and emotional scars, stepping into a future brimming with hope, self-love, and the promise of brighter tomorrows. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end here. When Martha gloated about her victory, she expected to gain something tangible, something she believed she had finally secured. But fate had other plans. She thought she would inherit a coveted family heirloom, the stunning diamond orchid necklace, a piece with exquisite design passed down through generations and valued at millions due to its rarity and craftsmanship. Whenever Martha saw the necklace, her eyes sparkled with unmistakable greed. Yet, throughout my marriage to Thomas, it remained tantalizingly out of her reach. During our years together, Martha often suggested selling the necklace to fund more practical needs, but each time, I firmly rejected her idea. I explained that the necklace was not only valuable, it held deep sentimental significance as a vital part of my family's legacy. Despite her relentless attempts to sway my decision, I stood resolute in my commitment to keep the necklace within my family. After the divorce was finalized, Martha believed she might somehow benefit from the necklace's value, thinking she could claim a share that would satisfy her materialistic desires. What she didn't know was that I had other plans in mind. A month had passed since the divorce when, unexpectedly, I heard a familiar knock at my door. When I opened it, I found Martha standing there, her face streaked with tears and her voice trembling. "Julie, please, I need to talk to you," she pleaded. Despite my mixed feelings, curiosity laced with reluctant sympathy, I stepped aside and let her in from the cold. Once settled in the living room, I encouraged her to share what was on her mind. Through her sobs, Martha struggled to articulate her thoughts, revealing the collapse of her carefully laid plans. "My plan, it failed, Julie. I thought I'd finally have what I wanted, but everything has gone wrong." With a hint of skepticism, I pressed her for details, intrigued by her apparent defeat. "What plan are you talking about, Martha? Why are you so upset?" Taking a deep breath, Martha tried to compose herself. "I thought that after the divorce, Thomas would be entitled to half of the heirloom's value," she confessed. Her scheme had hinged on manipulating her son to secure a piece of my family's treasure, a plan now clearly in ruins. I thought I had triumphed, but then Thomas dropped a bombshell that shattered all my hopes. Curiosity mixed with a dose of satisfaction urged me to lean in closer. "So what did Thomas reveal, Martha? I'm listening." Wiping away her tears, her voice filled with regret and disbelief, she said, "He told me he forgot to mention a prenuptial agreement he signed before we got married. It clearly stated that the heirloom, along with all your money, was completely off limits. I never stood a chance." I couldn't help but burst into laughter, a wave of relief and vindication washing over me. "Oh, Martha, you have no idea how much I anticipated this moment. I knew all along that your manipulative schemes would unravel." Martha's face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and anger. "You knew all along and still let me believe I had won? How could you?" Leaning back in my chair, a sense of triumph radiated from within me as I replied with a satisfied smile, "Oh, Martha, I didn't let you believe anything. You saw what you wanted to see. Blinded by your greed, I knew the truth would eventually come out." As the reality of her folly sank in, Martha's tears shifted to a mix of frustration and regret. She had played her hand, and it had spectacularly failed, leaving her with nothing. "I can't believe you signed that prenup," she said incredulously. "I was hoping to at least get some of your money after the divorce." "Martha, I signed the prenup precisely for situations like this. I anticipated a time when someone might try to take what's rightfully mine. You were never really about being the good wife, were you?" "How could you do this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "This isn't about being the good wife, Martha. It's about protecting myself and my assets from manipulative people like you. I had the foresight to secure my future," I explained, unapologetic. But I need the money, Julie. I'm desperate, she pleaded, her desperation evident. That's not my problem, Martha. You made your choices, and now you have to deal with the consequences. It's time for you to leave my house. You're so cruel and selfish, she shot back. I'm not the one who tried to deceive and manipulate for personal gain. You reap what you sow. Now please, leave. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence, punctuated only by Martha's sobs. The weight of her failed schemes filled the space, serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of her actions. As the reality of her situation dawned on her, Martha faced the painful truth. Her greed and deceit had left her with nothing. Despite her predicament, I remained firm, resolute in defending my rights and protecting what was rightfully mine. My experiences had taught me that trust and love should not blind one to the potential for betrayal. As Martha prepared to leave, her expression reflected a mix of anger and resignation, the bitterness of her choices hanging heavily in the air. With a resentful tone, she spat out, "You call me heartless. Martha, reflect on how you treated me throughout my marriage to Thomas. You were the one who was vindictive, cruel, and manipulative," I retorted. "You're exaggerating. I never treated you badly," she protested defensively. "Oh really? Shall I remind you how you purposefully excluded me from family events, belittled my achievements, and spread rumors about me? You seem to relish my distress." "I did no such thing. You're just trying to paint me as the villain." Martha's voice grew more desperate. "Enough of your lies and manipulation. Leave my house now, or I will call the police. I'm giving you an ultimatum," I declared firmly. "Please, Julie, just give me some money. I need it." Martha pleaded desperately. "You have 50 seconds to leave my property. This is your last chance." "You can't do this to me, Julie. I'm family," she protested. "Good riddance, Martha." As the seconds ticked away, her face twisted with anger, disbelief, and defeat. Realizing that her manipulative tactics had failed, she turned and walked toward the door. The tension in the air was palpable as she exited, leaving behind a trail of regrets and the consequences of her actions. A blend of relief and liberation washed over me as I stood tall, having cut ties with toxicity and reclaimed my independence. The next day, as if on cue, another figure from my past emerged, seeking reconciliation. "What do you want, Thomas?" I asked warily. "Julie, I need your help. I'm in a tough spot right now, and I was hoping—" "Save it, Thomas. I don't want to hear your excuses. You dare to call instead of facing me like a man? How cowardly can you be? I thought it would be better this way. Julie, please, just hear me out." "All right, Thomas. I'm listening," I said, bracing myself for what was to come. "Why don't you start by explaining how you constantly belittled my ambitions, mocked my dreams, and made me feel like I was never good enough? Do you even remember any of that?" "I don't know what you're talking about, Julie. Sure, we had our disagreements." "Disagreements?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "I call it emotional abuse. You tried to undermine me at every opportunity, hoping to break my spirit. Well, guess what? I'm done with it. I deserve better." "Julie, please, I'm sorry for everything. I'm in a tough spot right now, and I thought maybe—" "It's funny, Thomas." I cut him off. "You agreed to the prenup, yet here you are, begging and sniveling. Didn't you know what you were signing, or did you just assume you'd change my mind later?" "I didn't fully understand it back then. I just knew that I loved you," he stammered. "Cut the crap, Thomas. You always had an angle, and now you're out of options." "Julie, I don't know what to say." "Yeah, I figured as much. You've always been at a loss for words when it matters. Listen to me, Thomas. This is the last time I'll say this. If you try to contact me again, I will get a restraining order. Do you understand?" "But Julie?" "No, Thomas. It's over. Goodbye." With that, I hung up the phone and deleted his number, feeling the sense of finality wash over me. I was finally free from both him and Martha, and the relief was palpable as I reflected on the journey I had traveled since the end of my tumultuous marriage. A profound sense of contentment washed over me. I found myself in a much better place both mentally and emotionally, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from my shoulders, allowing me to breathe freely again. Life had taken some unexpected turns, but now I was relishing the joys it had to offer, fully embracing my newfound independence. I ventured back into the dating world, meeting new people, and experiencing the exhilarating excitement of romantic connections. Throughout it all, I learned to value my worth and refused to settle for anything less than the love and respect I deserved. Beyond the thrill of new relationships, I found solace and empowerment in sharing my story. The journey I endured during my marriage inspired me to write a memoir recounting the trials and tribulations of my past. It stands as a testament to the strength I discovered within myself. A story of overcoming adversity and finding empowerment in the aftermath of a challenging life chapter. I unearthed a profound strength that serves as a beacon of hope, compelling me to share it with others who have walked similar rugged paths. My writing emphasizes the critical importance of self-love and the courage needed to escape damaging relationships. As I move forward, I can hear the distant rumblings of discontent from my ex-husband and former mother-in-law, their envy unmistakable as they observe my blossoming success and well-being from afar. Their miscalculation of my inner fortitude has left them grappling with the repercussions of their actions. While I've distanced myself from their toxicity, their attempts to tarnish my reputation persist. Martha and Thomas have made a few feeble attempts to discredit me, trying to drag me down to their level of despair. Yet I remain unshaken and undeterred, firm in my resolve to take legal action against their defamatory statements. Their provocations only fuel my determination to see justice served. This new chapter of my life is steeped in gratitude for the resilience I've discovered within and for the solid support system surrounding me. Encircled by friends and family who uplift and inspire me, they cheer on my transformation and motivate me to continue reaching for greater heights. From the ruins of a shattered marriage, I have emerged not only unscathed but fortified, enlightened about my worth and more determined than ever to live freely and fully. This journey, though fraught with challenges, has catapulted me to a realm of self-empowerment and authenticity. My life's narrative is no longer defined by the shadows of pain but illuminated by the triumphs of overcoming and thriving. Having moved past the darkness, I now bask in the light of promising new beginnings. As I pen the ongoing chapters of my life, I approach each page with renewed purpose, seizing the happiness that had previously eluded me. Every word I craft is a step toward reclaiming my voice, my power, and my essence. My quest for revenge was never about stooping to their level, but about ascending beyond it, showcasing the robustness and elegance inherent in my spirit. I am Julie, reborn from adversity, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, ready to soar to unprecedented heights and leaving the remnants of my past far behind in the dust.